is facing our continent. The ideas that will be generated at this conference will not end at the four walls of this building. We have the intention and the plan to disseminate the ideas and the outcome through multiple platforms and outlets so as to make meaningful impact. I want to thank everyone here for being part of this transformative journey. Together, we can shape a brighter, more sustainable future for Africa. Once again, I want to welcome everyone to Covenant University, and I wish you all a productive deliberation and enlightening conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Please, can we once again applaud the chair of CUCLeD 2024? It's my honor again to invite the Dean of the College of Leadership and Development Studies, Dr. Jonathan A. Odukoya, to bring us his own opening remarks. The Dean, sir. Please, can we put our hands together for him?
I want to begin by appreciating God for making this conference a reality. And particularly, I want to thank God for using our Vice Chancellor to actually initiate this conference. We were in a management meeting one day, and he said, he called all the deans and said, compulsorily, every college must flag a conference. That was a very, we have never done one, but this is the very first one. So I think we need to applaud the VC for allowing God to motivate us. We should not despise days of small beginnings. We have never organized this kind of thing before in my college. So maybe if you see a kind of crowd like this, it's still, we need to give praise to God for the wonderful. Some people are online quite all right. We want to appreciate God for making this a reality and a great success to start with. Let's put our hands together for the Lord again. And so it's with great joy that I welcome you to the first Covenant University Conference on Leadership and Development, aptly tagged CUCLeD. As announced, the theme for the maiden conference is Integrating Leadership and Development in Africa. This topic is very germane. Now, the current major challenge, like the chair of the organizing committee just mentioned, in Africa, is not unconnected with leadership. Like he quoted, and I'm going to repeat the quote because it's a popular quote, John Maxwell, he's a guru in leadership. He's popularly quoted as saying that everything rises and falls on leadership. So I want to believe that this is part of what is prompting this conference. The same realization apparently motivated our chancellor in the person of Bishop David Oyedepo to launch Covenant University. Now, somebody will say, what's the connection between Covenant University and what we're talking about here? The vision of Covenant University is raising a new generation of leaders. It's about leadership, this entire university. And that's why we have an extra certificate for our students. Apart from the normal, whether they're in engineering, whatever, we also give them a certificate in leadership. That's to show you how this subject is so important to the chancellors. I'm sure he will have been here, but the VC is ably representing him, I believe. We actually invited him. He's a very busy man. So, but he didn't stop there. He went ahead to now build a whole center called the African Leadership Development Center to show you the passion of the chancellor on the concept of leadership. We are buying, we're actually bought into this. And by extension now, he didn't stop there again. They now created a college tagged College of Leadership and Development Studies to show you the focus on the issue of leadership. That's why this conference is actually long overdue. It's something we just need to keep on doing continuously. So I'm thanking God again for using the Vice Chancellor to prod us to move into this. I will say that I want to say that these the focus of this conference is in tandem, of course, with the university vision. And like I've said, and that is why we at the College of Leadership and believe that we should be pivotal in actually championing and pushing this particular vision for the university. Of course, with over 160 abstracts and 80 full papers already, yes, we can clap to the Lord for that. Already received. I believe that this conference is already a success with that, because part of our goal is to ensure that the very good papers, and we are expecting nothing less than 50% of this, to be pushed into Scopus Index journals, which again is tying with so many things for us. These issues are very important to us, because the issue of citation, impact on society, they are all part of what we are running with in this university. And I'm believing that with this, number of abstracts we've gotten, and then the caliber of keynote address, I don't know, I've been used to one keynote address, but this conference is going to have 3 powerful keynote addresses. Let's put our hands together for that. And flagging that off, of course, is our own distinguished Professor Jim Una here from the University of Lagos. Let's applaud him again. So it's on this note, ladies and gentlemen, that I welcome you to this historical event. But before I hand over, it's very, very important that I establish the framework for this conference. It's very important I quickly do that. And that takes me to this very short, and I want you to just carefully follow me, because it's going to dictate the direction for this conference. And I'm tagging it, integrating leadership and development in Africa, which is a theme. The role of talent leadership. Permit me to just quickly. So, the Vice Chancellor, sir, and the Registrar, I want you to give me permission to just quickly run through this, just to establish the framework for this conference. I want to begin by saying that, let's address the issue. What is talent leadership? Maybe this is the first time you're hearing that phrase. Now, in this presentation, is simply operationally defined as the natural endowment that a person has discovered, developed, and deployed to significantly enhance one's standard of living and that of multitudes. To me, that multitude means millions of people around you. That is the way we're saying talent. Now, the seed of talents, therefore, are the unique gifts and special abilities that people are born with. It is those who have correctly discovered and worked assiduously to develop and deploy such gifts and special abilities that will eventually emerge as talented leaders in such field. Such talented leaders naturally contribute to the development of their family. That's the beginning point. Their community and their nation. This is the concept of talent leadership. I haven't established that. Imagine, because I'm from psychology, I discovered that the concept of talent leadership is not totally new. And actually in Gardner actually presented it in a different way, and he called it multiple intelligence. And I'm sure many of us are familiar with it, those of us who are in this field. And you can see he postulated about 6 or 7 initially, but it was now expanded to 9. I won't belabor you with this because of time, but I just want you to see the agreement, because that what I'm sharing with you is established on a proven theory already. That's the part of the point I want us to quickly see. So, again, I will skip this because of time, because it is clearly established that both, and the commonality between the two is that all those traits that Gardner's was actually, listed, they were actually also inborn qualities. Mathematical, interpersonal, and co. They are all inborn qualities. But that is not to say you cannot still enhance or the depth of or the strength of that gift by training, but they are natural gifts. And one particular person that exemplified that in the Bible was Joseph. He didn't attend a university, and yet he became prime minister in the country, and then he also was finance minister. In fact, the way that guy displays so many skills without any university education, that should be. And then look at Daniel. Daniel was even trained a little bit. That of Joseph was the most one. And that is what we're talking about. It's a God-given thing. And so, but when it comes again, another difference between the talent leadership concept and that of God, what is that? You see, the scope of the talent is wider for in talent leadership concept. We have examples of speaking, writing. Even that speaking, again, we have many dimensions to speaking. Look at people like Oprah Winfrey. That's one dimension of speaking. And there's so many other kind of speakers. There's so many, and they're affecting their nation. They're provoking development. Time will not permit me to go into that, but you know what I'm talking about. Writing. What's the name of that popular girl, African girl that is already making waves in writing? Chiama, what is her name again? Exactly. So, and she's affecting positively development all around. She's a leader in that field. And then talking about teaching. This is my own area by the grace of God. And there's so many other erudite teachers around here who are affecting, because teachers are nation builders. And so, sincerely speaking, we look down on teachers in this part of the world. Go to Finland, how they celebrate teachers. It's a different ballgame altogether, because they are the nation builders. Then talking about counseling, there are so many challenges through. If you don't get an able counselor by your side, the person will be crushed. And so we need counselors too. They're all there. And there are people naturally gifted, like Ahithophel in the Bible. So counseling, they come in various ways. It's different from advising or giving, they come in various shapes and dimensions. Time will not permit us. Talk of languages, talk of mathematics, talk of sporting. No, field, leadership itself, and then nature. The list continues. You can see it by the side there. And so, just to give you just a little scope of it. So, if you can classify talent leadership into 3 domains. We have the spiritual, because there's a role of a prophet, for instance. And by the grace of God, we have a prophet in the house, in the person of our Bishop Oyedepo. That is part of what is giving us leverage. If you are looking for the secret of Covenant University, and you don't know this dimension of the prophetic dimension, the person will just be running a rat race. You just be wasting your energy. You just not understand how Covenant University is making waves or making mark or becoming a leader in the field. It's part of these prophetic gifts. They are under the spiritual domain. There are many others. Then we have the secular. Things like music and co. They come under the secular entertainment. Then we have the academic, where people weave out, the engineering and co. Coming up with so many kind of inventions, provoking development. Those are the 3 major areas. And they still fall under talent leadership. So, the common underlying factor, of course, I've already explained this. Let me skip this particular slide. So I want to just say that the central thesis of talent development concept is that a person will naturally emerge as a leader in his or her area of talent. If it's correctly discovered, call it the 3 Ds. If it's correctly discovered, doggedly developed, and wisely deployed. Those 3 words are very important. Time will not permit me to expatiate more on that. And then you have to maintain focus. Because some people are multi-talented. I fell into that. I happen to fall into that category. And the challenge with those who are multi-talented, they'll be jumping into too many things at the same time. And because of that, they're not able to make a mark on time. I didn't have a good counselor or counsel. And so some of us need to watch that. When you are multi-talented, it could be a challenge. You just be jumping from one thing to the other. And because of that, you'll not be able to make a mark on time. So you need to watch that seriously. You need focus. You need focus. Very, very important. And so talent leadership cuts across all forms of leadership. We have various classifications of leadership: transformational, transactional, and so many kinds of leadership. We know we are aware of all that. But we are saying that talent leadership cuts across all these forms of leadership, as it were. And so, see, for example, I'll just buttress my point. This particular case now, we have the Apple there. We have Tesla there. We classify this as product leaders. And you can see that Apple is actually one of the leading figures in that field. Then Tesla is coming up with, first of all, the electric driven cars, and then is it driverless? Okay, that you don't need to use a driver. That is unique, and that is making waves. Toyota you have the record of 11.2 million production. It's one of the highest, largest. And behind all this, even though we say product leadership, there's a person moving and driving it. And example, for instance, we have Steve Jobs for Apple. We have Elon Musk driving Tesla. And then we have Kishiro Toyoda that has driven that of Toyota. And so this is still coming back to the concept of talent leadership. Behind all those waves or achievements is a talented leader that is driving it. That's the point we're trying to make here. When you come to talented spiritual leaders, starting from our own Jerusalem here, people like Pastor Adeboye, Around the last convention, they have close to 10 million people on ground. I couldn't beat that. I went online, I saw him leading a choir for almost 30 minutes. Somebody 80-year-old plus, leading choir again. Of course, I know he's multi-talented because his specialty was his mathematics. And yet, he's now in the spiritual. He's multi-talented. But he decided to now focus on the spiritual. And he's making waves. You can't relegate him. You can't say you don't know about him. And it's positively affecting the development of this nation. I'm telling you, in a very powerful way. What about John Maxwell? That's the picture you just saw. Then talked about our own very Bishop Oyedepo. 2 universities. All in the pipeline. And so many other achievements. The arc going on. These are monumental legacies. And it's a product of talent leadership. And then we have here also T.D. Jakes. You know the kind of waves is also causing all over the place. Then the last category I want to quickly just point to is that talented political leaders. Like Mahatma Gandhi. How he caused a revolution in India. And then our home, I'm not being tribalistic, so to speak, by only bringing out Awolowo. We have so many powerful leaders in Nigeria, so forgive me if because of time that I'm only bringing Awolowo from Nigeria, because we have so many gifted leaders in Nigeria, definitely. And then we also, our own Mandela, that just passed on. Is one of the greatest leaders of all times, And these are all talented. If you go and check behind the achievement, is that those unique inborn traits and talents that is making them that made them to make waves, so to speak. Awolowo, for instance, right from his house, online, he trained, and got a degree in law, right from home. You can see that. So the common thread in all this, this category is talent. That's the point I've been emphasizing. But I want you to take note of something, please. Talent alone cannot deliver. As powerful as it is. And that is, I'm going to begin to round off on that. There's this age-long controversy, for instance, that talented leaders are born and not made, and vice versa. But our own position is this, that talents are born and made. Is the combination of the two. As I've stated earlier, the seeds of talent are the unique gifts and special abilities people are born with. But it's only when these gifts and special abilities are correctly discovered and astutely developed and deployed that they will metamorphose into talent manifestation. So I just want to summarize it with this, which I got from our bishop at the line, which you can see in the scripture. That is grace, because another word for talent is grace. It's your area of grace. So grace plus labor is equal to glory. Somebody's entering to glory. And that is what we call talent leadership. I'm telling you the truth. Very simply put. That's what we call talent leadership. And that's what it's all about. You can see the proof of talent leadership in the scriptures. You can see it there. Unto every one of us is grace given, according to the measure of the gift of Christ. You can see that in Ephesians 4:7. Then in Matthew 5:25-15, you can see unto one he gave 5 talents. Unto another 2. And then to another 1. To every man according to his what? Several ability. Then I love this one. Proverbs 16. A man's gift makes room for him and brings him before great men. You are the next one going to appear before great men. That is what talent leadership is all about. Ladies and gentlemen, because of time, I just want to be not just to realize that they are the drivers of development, beginning from the family, the community, and the nation. They are the drivers. And development, of course, is all about continuous development and improvement in terms of human well-being, standard of living, productivity, leadership acumen, and maintaining balanced ecosystem. It's all about sustainable growth in all good things of life. That's what development is all about. And it is these people, it is these talents that one classical example in the Bible, again, is King Nebuchadnezzar that actually used the concept of talent. When he came into power, the first thing he did was to search for the talent in his domain. That was how he discovered Daniel. He nurtured them. After discovering them, he developed them. And then he deployed them. And you can see, Daniel became one of the greatest leaders of all times. He passed through almost 4 regimes. And nobody has ever beaten that record because of that gift God has put inside him. So people of God, that's why even our current leaders around the world, like America, Canada, and co, they are aware of what I'm sharing with you. How did I know? For instance, many of us may not realize it. That's what we call scholastic aptitude test. It's taken all around the world. You know what they do? The best performing top cream is about 1,600 score. So those in the top stream, you know what America does? They give them full scholarship and we draw them and take them to America to train them. And most of them eventually settle down in America. That's number one powerful brain drain. They are selecting the best from all around the world and injecting them into their own system. I mean, can you imagine that? The same thing American lottery. And then Canada is beginning to do the same thing and use UK. They're selecting the best brain, the best talents all around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, because of time, I'm going to just jump to the conclusion. This is not actually in the program we have, quite all right. But we're going to eventually find a way to publish it because we have two kinds of publication we're expecting, the book publication and then the article publication. So we're going to shoot this. And I'm going to find a way to make sure all these published wide so that all of us can have access to it. It's something we need to pay attention to. And so people like Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Innocent, the one producing car in Nigeria, and then Elon Musk. They're all classical example of talent leaders we're talking about. And they're making waves all over. In Nigeria, it's not as if we did not make attempt. Our government started with Suleja Academy. The challenge was its implementation. It has now transformed into what we call the Federal Government Secondary School for Gifted and Talented. But what is the challenge? Now they are now saying you can enter university until you are 18. That's almost counterproductive to this concept of developing talents because they always finish ahead. In fact, there's one principle of training them. They call it acceleration. And so now that you want to accelerate and say you cannot, they have to now wait in their house till 18 years. Man, it's going to cost a lot of work for those people. And these are the salt of the nation. These are the people to drive development of the nation. Somebody needs to correct them on time. Seriously. It is very important that we take note of this. So I've mentioned various thoughts on this particular one. People like John Maxwell, Marcus Buckingham particularly, Peter Drucker. They are all contributed. David Ulrich. They are great thought leaders in this particular concept I'm sharing with you. They only use different names. And so we have them like that. So like I said, I'm going to jump to the conclusion. So the Vice Chancellor, sir, ladies and gentlemen, we all know that the world is ruled by words, particularly words. We also know that two or more sound minds are better than one. This is the essence of a conference of this nature. It's a forum for engaging divergent thinking, convergent thinking, and critical thinking. The concept of talent leadership is a food for thought. Virtually all the presentations in this historical conference are connected with it. If we incubate well enough on it, it will inspire great ideas. Let me close with one of my favorite quotes. Those who are not inspired will soon expire, but that will not be you. It's my hope that the presentations in this conference will not only inspire you, but also ignite in you the willpower to perspire until the inspirations are delivered. And so we develop our nation. Thank you very much for listening and for your attention, and God bless you.
Thank you so much, sir. Please, can we once again put our hands together for the Dean of the College of Leadership and Development Studies for that very provocative delivery. Thank you, sir, for putting the conference in context. May I, at this juncture, respectfully request that we rise and receive the Vice Chancellor of Covenant University, Professor Abiodun H. Adebayo, to bring us his opening remarks.
Yeah, thank you so very much. Please, may we be seated. The Chancellor and Chairman Board of Regents, Covenant University, Dr. David O. Oyedepo. I also recognize all of our management team here present, the Registrar of Covenant University, Mrs. Regina Toby Davids. The Deans here present, the Dean of College of Management and Social Sciences, the Dean of College of Science and Tech, and the host Dean, whom had I was whispering, I said he has delivered the inaugural lecture and also the keynote presentation for this. You're also one of the keynote speakers today. For also setting the scene and setting the stage. We deeply appreciate this. And our keynote speakers here present, thank you so much, Prof, for finding time to join us here, and every other persons online. We also recognize all our distinguished participants, including the LOC members who have made this very first edition of the College of Leadership and Development Conference, a highly successful one. Please, let's put our hands together for ourselves. Yeah, it's an honor and privilege for me to always be here. Just like the Dean mentioned, alluded to, we were highly inspired to see that we have a flagship conference of all the colleges within the university. Yes, we know that departments or group of departments come together to have one or two conferences. And I said to myself, and to the persons who were there in that meeting, I said, no, that let's see how the colleges can equally have that. Let this become the project of our deans as they stay in office, and it shall be supported by management going forward. Thank you so much for flagging this up. And I'm sure all our deans are here present to also give moral support. Thank you so much for coming. I'm delighted to welcome our distinguished guest speakers, facilitators, and participants to the very first Covenant University Conference on Leadership and Development with the theme Integrating Sustainability in Leadership and Development in Africa. This gathering calls for a reflection of the university's enduring commitment to advancing leadership excellence, innovation, and sustainable development across Africa and the globe. The subject of leadership and sustainability cannot be overemphasized. It has become so germane and becoming increasingly interesting. Why? Because if you look at those two keys, particularly leadership, it is what has brought Africa to where it is today. When you compare Africa and the rest of the other continents, the challenge is just leadership. When you get the right leader in a position who knows what to do, you can be rest assured that things will adequately fall in place. But here at Covenant University, we stand firm in our vision to raise a new generation of leaders who will take bold steps towards transforming Africa and rewrite the story of the black man. Since the founding of Covenant University in 2002, the institution has become committed to its mandate to raising the future leaders of nation and continent, grounded in core values of spirituality, integrity, diligence, possibility mentality, and a deep sense of responsibility to humanity. Today, we are proud to say that Covenant University has emerged as a citadel of center of excellence, a place where leadership is not just taught but lived. For years now, we have consistently produced trailblazers who lead with purpose, compassion, sustainability at the forefront of their missions and endeavors. In a rapidly changing world where challenges such as climate change, inequality, and economic volatility loom large, the theme of this conference is not just timely but urgent. Integrating sustainability in leadership and development for Africa emphasizes the pressing need to foster leadership that does not only aim for short-term gains, but also enriches and ensures long-lasting and inclusive progress. Sustainability, therefore, is no longer an option. It is a necessity. And as Africa continues to grow, develop, and redefine its place on the global stage, the continent requires leaders who understand that the choices we make today will shape the future we live for generations to come. Covenant University has continually been at the forefront of this important discourse. As a leading university, world-class university institution in Africa, we are actively involved in research to evolve innovative solutions to facilitate the achievement of the African Union Agenda 2063 and the SDGs. Our innovative solutions to global issues have earned us strange recognitions from top-ranking bodies globally. In the 2024 Times Higher Education SDG Impact Rankings alone, Covenant University was ranked top 600 globally and 63rd in SDG 17 globally. Also, in the maiden edition of this Times Higher Education 2024 Sub-Saharan African rankings, Covenant University is ranked number 1 in Nigeria, number 1 in West Africa, and number 7 in Africa. To also validate the great work that is being done even in Covenant University here, we equally have another highly reputable ranking body called the QS for the World University Rankings under the Sustainability for 2024. The university was ranked globally 273 in governance, 891 in environmental impact, and 409 in environmental sustainability. These achievements, among others, are a testament to our unwavering dedication to our mission, and it is no surprise that our alumni continue to shine across various sectors, both within Africa and other continents of the world, making significant contributions to leadership and development. The future is full of possibilities, particularly for us here in Africa, and indeed, starting with Covenant University, because Covenant University is strategically positioned to lead the change in developing leaders who are not just reactive but proactive, who are not just efficient but transformative. Our commitment to excellence in education is matched only by our commitment to nurturing value-driven leadership that seeks to improve lives and communities. We believe in the power of sustainable leadership that embraces creativity, collaboration, and unwavering commitment to ethical principles. As we embark on this journey through this conference, I encourage every participant to engage actively with the presentation, discussions, and seek opportunities for collaborations. Let this platform serve as a catalyst for new ideas, transformative partnership, and innovative solutions that will move us closer to a sustainable future and build the Africa we like to see. Moreover, I'd like to also mention here that our doors would always be open to opportunities for research collaborations with university research institutes and other key stakeholders. It was Gro Harlem Brundtland that said, "Sustainable development is the development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs." And also alluding to that, the great sustainability expert, Peter Drucker, had said, "The best way to predict the future is to create it." Let us join hands together to create the very sustainable leadership that is highly deficient in Africa. Once again, I'd like to welcome every one of us to Covenant University, the place where kings and queens are raised. And I'd like to also thank every one of you for coming up with highly robust discussion on this leadership and development. Together, let us continue to build a better and a more sustainable Africa. Thank you so much for coming, and God bless you. At this time, we're going to rise as I perform the next assignment. And I'm sure our virtual participants are also there. Well, if you are with your system, you may need to rise. We're also watching you here. Upon the powers conferred on me as the Vice Chancellor of Covenant University and standing on the behalf of the Chancellor and Chairman Board of Regents of Covenant University, Dr. David O. Oyedepo, I hereby declare the very first Covenant University Leadership and Development Conference titled Integrating Leadership and Development for Africa opened in the name of God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Please, can we put our hands together again for the Vice Chancellor, and we may all please be seated. Thank you so much, sir, for bringing us that very inspiring remark. We are proceeding gradually to some other important features at this opening ceremony. I would like to request that our keynote speaker, distinguished professor and president of Philosophical Association of Nigeria, Professor Jim Una, please rise, sir, and remain standing as the technical crew will lead us in your citation.
Jim Ijenewa Una, PhD, FNAL, is the first University Distinguished Professor of Philosophy at the University of Lagos. He was recently the Visiting Faculty Dean, Faculty of Art, Dennis Osadibe University, Anwai, Asaba, Delta State, Nigeria, and formerly the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academics at the Premier University of Sao Tome and Principe, Gulf of Guinea, Central African Republic. A consummate and versatile scholar, Una is author of over 100 publications, over 30 books, over 50 chapters in books, and over 30 articles in high-impact learned journals published at home and abroad. He has 5 invited lectures at the Oxford Roundtable of the University of Oxford, Oxford, England, and 2 invited lectures at the National Kapodistrian University, Athens, Greece. He was the editor of the Nigerian Journal of Philosophy in the late 1990s and the current editor of Philosophy and Perks. With specialization in philosophy, his expertise and research interests traverse the fields of metaphysics, phenomenology, African philosophy, applied ontology, logic, leadership and development philosophy, and peace, ethics, and character studies. Jim Una is Fellow of the Nigerian Academy of Letters, FNAL, Fellow of the Nigerian Army Resources Center, FNARC, Fellow of the Chartered Institute of Leadership and Governance, FCILG, Fellow and President of the Philosophers Association of Nigeria, FPAN, Consultant and Resource Person to UNESCO and expert at the UNESCO Inclusive Policy Lab. Jim Una was nominated to chair the Metaphysics section of the World Congress of Philosophy held in Rome, Italy, August 1st to 8th, 2024, by the Steering Committee of the International Federation of Philosophical Societies, and is currently researching, propagating, and promoting the teaching of African moral character and critical thinking principles in primary schools and secondary schools in Nigeria. Please stand up and give a round of applause as we invite the speaker to the stage.
Let me stand on existing protocols, already ably well established here. Let me thank the Vice Chancellor for this initiative of getting one of our universities, though private university, to kickstart training in leadership. Well, your team, beginning with, is it the dean? Oh dear, has made my day. because he has said virtually everything that needed to be said. But I'm a little lucky. I'm a little lucky that I didn't look that way, so that our discussion here can be robust. All right? I didn't look that way in terms of talent, because I know something about talent, that talent is God-given attribute. Yes. But the problem with talent is that apart from requiring training to make it happen constantly, people that are talented are in very short supply. Nature is very stingy with people that are talented. And that is true. So we have a problem. Now you are talking of talent people. Now, get talent somebody to Abuja today to run the affairs of Nigeria. He will fail woefully. There are other problems. There are other environmental conditions that will make talent to work. All the people you are producing and we are producing that are doing so very well, where are they? They are not in Nigeria. They have been taken over by the world. And so when are we going to develop our own so that the majority of our citizens will thrive well and flourish? That's the challenge. And that's the area that leadership should focus. And so when I was invited, I said, let me thank my star that there is a university doing this kind of thing. But I have a problem, and that problem is what I'm going to express here so that I can expand the horizon of what we are doing in the arena of leadership training and leadership development. The first was distinguished professor lectures at the University of Lagos. I said, is it leadership or character? Now, we proceeded as an association because people are doing things like you are doing here, but nobody knows what is happening. But we hope that one day the thing will flower and blossom. Now, it is African Moral Character and Creative Thinking Principles in 3 volumes. And the publication was supported by late Akere Dolu, the governor of Ondo State, between 2018 and 2019. 3 volumes, African Moral Character and Creative Thinking Principles. And then, well, we say if you build on a foreign foundation, you have not built. But if you build on your own foundation, you now experience what is called cultural confidence. And with that, when you have a problem, it is that confidence that will see you through. It is that confidence that will take you back from the misstep you have taken. That is why great nations like America, Britain, well, let me talk less about America because that is not a real nation that is founded on solid principles of morality. They were built on immigrant population. And so they had to fashion a multicultural policy that will blend the different people coming from all over the world together. They have also done it in Canada. So that's wonderful. But let me talk about great civilizations like the Chinese, the Greeks, the Jews. Well, the Edos, but let me come back home, the Yorubas and the Igbo. There is something about leadership and culture that if you take it away from the people, you destroy them. We produce very brilliant young men and women, but they will not be able to stay here. If they stay here, they will not be able to make it. Although a few that are resilient will continue to stay put, to fight for the realization of a better Nigeria and a better Africa. So what I want to do is to say that, okay, another problem I identify, and it's a more recent one, is security. So we also mobilized and got the Nigeria Army Resource Center to collaborate with us, and we came up with this. And we told them everything they needed to know about the issue of security in this country. And in my own contribution, I refer to OD. OD in 1999. When Obasanjo came on stage as president, I thought it was in February. But the OD thing happened in November, towards the end of the year. Politicians will use people to steal ballot boxes, install them in power, and they are not able to rein them in. And that is part of the problem we are facing. Alamese had issue with some of the boys he used during the election. One of them grew wings, and he started training whether they call it insurgents or armed robbers, somewhere in OD, in his father's house, chased away his father's wives. Maybe the father was late at the time. And then what happened? He started terrorizing the states. And then Obasanjo said, what is going on? Do you want us to come in? He said, look, I'm tired. I've lost control. I want you to come in. And so the federal government moved in. In less than 48 hours, OD was sacked. Over 300 people were killed. And 20-something years after, nobody hears of OD. Nobody hears about criminality in OD. Although people try to criticize him for being a little high-handed and for trying to kill a fly with his sledgehammer. But that is the way to teach criminals a lesson. If you don't teach criminals a lesson, you will not have an ordered society. And you can look at Nigeria, what is happening now. People are afraid to go to their farms. If you are traveling, if it's about 6 o'clock, you dare not travel because there's banditry everywhere. Is that a society that will grow future leaders? Covenant is doing well. It's setting the pace. But we need to take it to the larger Nigerian audience. And so, what is the problem with leadership? I think it will be better for me to talk like this because in most of my engagements, I actually abandon my paper and begin to talk. Because if I go through my paper and then I follow it methodically, it may not be as interesting as this. But before I pull away to make the point, are you following? It's almost always too late. So I prefer to talk like this. So, okay, you are not spreading the screen. The thing is there. And he told me that the slide is about 104 pages. So how are you going to do it? I said, okay, let me speak to the paper. Now, yes, now about the topic, that's the theme really, integrating leadership and development for Africa. Yes, that's what I have selected. But because of what you have done with the role of talent, I'm going to have a rider to that one, and which is my own now, because it's your own that I'm talking about. Yes. The overarching importance of character and critical thinking. That will be the rider to my own when I eventually submit the clean copy. Now, I elected to speak on ethical leadership for sustainable development in Africa until I scrutinized the broad theme of the conference to discover that I would have inadvertently joined the bandwagon of authors of styles of leadership in the literature, whereas what is sought for by the broad theme is an integrator or integrators of leadership and development for post-colonial African states. This realization is not to disparage the efforts of authors of leadership theories and styles, but to make the point that care should be exercised to avoid regurgitating the vogue in leadership and development studies where discussions often center on categories and styles of leadership without getting to the root or fundament of the matter. Put differently, proposing a topic such as ethical leadership for sustainable development in Africa is not different, prima facie, from speaking on transformational or transformative leadership, or visionary leadership, or task-based leadership, or results-oriented leadership, or whatever else has been canvassed in the literature. I'm sure that the various forms of leadership and what they purport to achieve will be discussed by participants in this conference. But however, this way of characterizing leadership while cataloging what is required for leaders to be leaders in words and deeds does not tell us how to get it done effectively. There is something always missing in all forms of leadership styles that fails to mobilize the enterprise or the citizenry to achieve organizational objectives or for collective social purpose or for the common good. It is that something missing, call it a hiatus, that I imagine the main team to be seeking an answer to in this conference. What is missing in all leadership styles that fail to, I'm talking of those who fail, I'm not talking of those who succeeded, that fail to, because we are now in the realm of those who have failed in our own environment. So we must talk about it and find a way to get around it. Now, the thing that is missing in all forms of failures in organizations and nation states is the issue of social justice, security, welfare for the people, or opportunities for the pursuit of enlightened self-interest and happiness. What is it that is lacking in leaders that constitutes a hindrance to effective performance in organizations and sustainable development in African nation states? I need to mention by way of digression that the task of integrating leadership, development, and sustainability in Africa is a multidisciplinary and multi-sectorial endeavor. It is not for one person alone. It's not for the philosopher alone, not for the ethicist alone. However, since I am required to discuss this lacuna, this integrator from my disciplinary specialization, I will narrow it down to a core discipline of philosophy called ethics. So, but why is it that I'm not talking of ethical leadership? Because as I've said, there's even a problem with that. Because we now master all the principles of ethical leadership: transparency, trustworthiness, integrity, honesty, fairness, just all of them. They are listed here. And they are listed in many literatures. You can master all of them. But when the chips are down, when it is time to perform, you'll find that there is always a conspiracy, whether with your conscience or with your team, to do wrong for profit. Let me give you a few examples. What happened to Cecilia Ibrio of Oceanic Bank? She did not go to leadership training schools. What of Akingbala Erastus? He did not go there. So what happened? It's not that they don't know this, but there's something missing and there's something lacking. And it is because of that I'm saying that this leadership training is beautiful here. You are grooming people who will take over corporations in the industry. But it is important to groom a society of culture of integrity. So that when you are talking integrity, about 30 people will raise up and say, yes, let's get it done this way. Take a bribe, say, nonsense, I don't want it. This one says, I don't want it. Where are you going? But you alone, standing to talk about integrity, everybody will laugh. I have friends who support me anytime I'm talking. But when it comes to doing, I found out that they were doing something different. If I wasn't extremely careful, I would have been roping in a number of troubles about students, people collecting money from students, even asking for shares, or even forcing people to buy books. I was sent people to buy books from my office because I've written so much that people thought that if you didn't compare students, you wouldn't be able to sell. So we made a law at the University of Lagos that all books must be put in the bookshop. Even after that, they kept complaining and complaining. And so what happened? We now discovered that there are many things wrong with the system. The bookshop will sell and they will not remit money to the publisher and to the author. So where do you go from there? So you now find that the vice chancellor alone cannot do it. I alone cannot do it. So that kept me thinking about characteristics of good leadership. Now, what point am I making? The point I'm making is that these characteristics ought to be put in them growing up. So it's not a problem for university education, not a problem for me. But the problem at the place where it's coming from, where it is a problem, people don't know that it's a problem. Even if they know, they have no voice to speak it, to bring it to the public domain, to bring it to the front burner. They have no voice. I'm talking of leaders and people in primary and secondary education. That is the formative years of human. If after primary and secondary school you have not formed character, anytime they are talking of integrity, you'll be clapping. Anytime they are talking of being incorruptibility, you'll be shaking your head. When the time comes, you see that those people shaking their head will help to cook the books and continue to behave in ways that will lead to the failure or collapse of corporations in industry. We found that with some of our banks. It's not that they didn't go to leadership training schools, but something was fundamentally lacking. And even for a very strong leader, if he's alone, because of the corruption of so many people around him, he won't know when he's caving in. When your wife keeps telling you, oh, that man is wonderful. Look at what he brought for the children. This one is this so. They are trying to get into you. Aha. Before you know it, something will go wrong. And then they will tell you that if you make so much noise, we send some to your wife. And that's your daughter in England. Go and find out. You see, now you are compromised. Not through your own personal act, but through the act of people around you. So that is why my advocacy is that we should grow a community of culture of integrity. The Greeks did it for their people with their great thinkers, Plato and Aristotle. Aristotle generated a literature that they are still using in Oxford today, the Nicomachean Ethics, where he outlined how to build character, how he identified the presence of talents, and how limited the number of talented people are, so that you need to show the population by training more people. So what are the things to do to train people with character? Those attributes you mentioned are the things that are simple concepts. What does it mean to be a good person? Just ask that question. You will see concepts that will continue to emerge. All of these concepts, none of them will offend good law. None of them will offend good true religion. These concepts are accommodated and accepted and welcomed in all religions. They are welcome in all laws. Where the contrary is the case, like apartheid South Africa, which is the positive law of a country, are you following? The contrary is the case because there's discrimination in society. Black people should go their way. When you see a white man, you step aside. A white man, that kind of rubbish. But a country in South Africa operated that policy. Okay? And it was supported by the law of that country. What point am I making about law? Law does not always give us the right leadership. It does not always. But most of the time, that is what law is supposed to do, to legislate for morality, to give morality a cover. But morality, because morality on its own has no power to enforce itself. So religion comes into the picture to enforce morality. Law comes into the picture to enforce morality. That of law is immediate. If you do A, consequences will follow. Consequence B will follow. And once you apply that law, people will begin to fall in line. So you can use law to correct a corrupt society. But again, let me make the story of the Chinese people to drive the point home. The Chinese people built the Great Wall of China. And it took them over 2,300 years to complete the walls. Now, sometimes some part will collapse, and so they need to rebuild the collapsed portion. Sometimes you need to expand the empire. So they will now begin to expand. So that's what makes them take so many years and centuries to build the Great Wall. And I think about 9 emperors or empires were involved in the construction of the Great Wall. After completing the construction, did it secure the Chinese people? Because the intent was to secure the Chinese people, protect them against insecurity from their immediate neighbors. The Taurics, the Mongols, the Jensens, they're always troubling the Chinese people. They say, okay, let's build our own world and leave them so we can develop ourselves. We can discipline ourselves and nobody will complain. All right? That was why they did it. It was for security reasons. But there were security breaches within the first 100 years after the completion of the Great Wall of China. What happened? Contamination of character of the engineers who were supposed to maintain the walls. And then the attitude of the gatemen. Those two people made it impossible for the Great Wall to protect the empire because the empire was invaded 3 times. The last one was in 1644, where the king infantry invaded the empire and replaced the dynasty with the king I mean the King dynasty. The dynasty that was there, that actually completed the Great Wall, was the Ming dynasty. But the King dynasty came and invaded the empire and took over and established their power. Now, what lesson did the Chinese learn about? They had developed and fortified the kingdom physically. Okay? But they did not fortify the moral character, if you like, and the spiritual character of the gate man. Because they will come and look in, find flowers. Can we see? Take this. The gate man will open the gate. As they move in, they have already gone to the seat of power and removed the empire and the emperor. So that's what happened to the Chinese. So what happened now is they say, let's go back to the drawing board. They didn't have to go and ask Britain, as we always do. They didn't go to ask Americans, how can we secure ourselves? They went back to their teachers, to Lao Tzu and Confucius. Now they call Confucius in English. Yes, they went to the two of them, and then, but the politicians were not ready to listen to them, as usual, as is expected. So, but they now went to the younger generation, the younger people, where character can be formed as a habit. So they started. What were they teaching them? Apart from their history and culture, is entirely morality. What you do not like for your left hand, do not use it for your right hand. What you do not like for your elder brother, do not take it to your younger brother. Literatures like catechism, they were putting it into them. They will be repeating it. Children, when they are repeating something, what is the magic? People are what they repeatedly do. Repeatedly do, that is what you will become. The great mathematicians, how did they become great mathematicians? Because they were calculating number, like Chikobi, calculating the movement of tire when the car was running, and solving some problems. All right? So, the way to build character is to take it to elementary and secondary schools. That's my advocacy. That's what is a little bit different from what you are saying. So you now have a community of human beings that have taken the same lecture, that have imbibed the same habit. But because of human nature, all of them will not behave perfectly well. But when your own sibling behaves, you will be the first to raise and say, this is a bad guy. Look at what he has done. They will mete out the appropriate punishment to him. Where it matters, if he wants more food, more clothes, you, as a blood member of his family, can support him with that. But not for the moral status of community. What do we do when your brother is caught as an armed robber or as a scam or somebody involved in cybercrime? We go and hire the best lawyers to spoil the matter. And we think we are doing something. We think we are being human. We think we are creating society. No, that's not the way to go. What I'm saying again, I need you to know this, that it's not rocket science. This thing I'm talking about, it's not rocket science. But it needs patience to develop the curriculum. Are you following? And begin to put it in children. It looks like a journey of a million miles. The mausoleum in Italy, they told us it was built for 8 years. And the number of thousands of laborers, artisans that were used to complete it. So the journey of a million miles starts with taking the first step. And why am I talking about it in university setting? We are the one to tell government. We are the one to tell the Ministry of Education that the people coming to the university, they are difficult to handle because they have been set in their own ways, like dry crayfish. If you try to stretch it to its normal shape, it will break. But if it is a fresh one, you can stretch it to elastic, and you follow? And you put whatever you want to put there. And what is to be put there is a decision of all stakeholders. The state is not a department's problem, but a department and the university will point the way. And say that's because when you come to the university, look at what impressed me about this university. I think I came here about 2 times a couple of years back, and even the Department of Philosophy was originally set up. I know what happened, but they did the wrong thing. At that time, they brought in assistant lecturers because it was not going to be easy to get established lecturers to come here. But the way we solve that problem is to engage professors on sabbatical, on visiting basis, So you don't carry the wage bill. All the wage bill, all pension and all that is gone. But they will now come and groom those younger people. That's what I was taken to Asaba to do. I spent 1 year, 3 months to set up the Faculty of Arts. As soon as I was done, they said I should resign from the University of Lagos to join them. And the salary is always almost twice that of Federal University. I said, I've built all my career here. So am I going to leave this place? I mean, Lagos to come here for how many more years? 3 years? That I will due for retirement. I said, no. You can keep your tempting salary. I will manage. But the faculty has been well developed over many 6 departments, and then they now have almost over 500 students within a short space of time. I'm talking of Denis Osadebe University, Asaba. It's a government-owned university. So I came back and started my own activity. As I speak here, they're engaging me to come to UAE to come and deliver a lecture on their own philosophy again. So you see, I've taken that part. I'm not pursuing administration, but they managed somehow to put me there, on a temporary basis. That's not my thing. But if you get me into a department, everything will work like good medicine. Everything will work, and people will be afraid. You will not be able to do small here with this man. Don't let him become this, so you will finish us. What is my own concern? The university is owned by private property. But I will give leadership when you give me the opportunity. That's all. But you don't kill yourself because of a system that is not ready to develop itself. The system will develop itself when it begins to do the proper thing. What is the proper thing? All of these things we are talking about good leadership, they are fantastic. What is the proper thing? Let ethnicities decide how they want to live. What do I mean by ethnicities? I mean nationalities. Nigeria is made up of nationalities. Nigeria is not a nationality. If you go to Europe, it's the same thing. If you go to Britain, ordinary Britain, that colonized also, that we have seen the handwriting clearly. How many kingdoms they have there? About 4 or 6 kingdoms. They are almost independent. Just, minor thread holding them together at the center. The West are the West, the Scots are the Scots, the Irish are the Irish, the English are the English. The Irish cannot come and tell them what to do. But here, an Igbo man or an Eka man like me can come to Europe and tell you what to do. And maybe it does not sit well with your culture. Don't you see that you are setting the stage for crisis? This thing is not rocket science. And until we put our foot down, that let people get their independence to do what they want within the same Nigeria. If you like, call it United States of Nigeria. And this thing was happening between 1960 and 1966. So go and check our constitution. People were developing competitively. So when you get things wrong, you go back. Now they are refusing to go back. Now we are looking at them. Now look at what is happening. I do not know how Tinubu will survive. Because if you dribble too much, you dribble yourself, it becomes a problem. All right? Because he is part of the problem. Because when we now got the revelation that he has about 9 oil wells in Malta refining crude, that alone is not good for a leader who is seen us suffer about fuel. Killing ourselves in petrol stations, on the roads. It's not good. So what is happening now? They don't know this thing was taken. They are embarrassed. Why people? They should be able to cope now. Let them. They send traditional leaders to the market. Go and fix prices for market women. Somebody I bought 15,000 something item. I bought 15,000. Now you say it's too costly. Bring it back to 12,000. Which trader will do that? So when they are doing this, you begin to wonder, what is wrong with these leaders? So are they thinking you want to fix prices for things you don't produce? And then you are raising prices for tariffs for your own products, petroleum and currency. I don't know how we are going to get out of it, but let me tell you that the SDGs, because I wanted to talk extensively about the SDGs, the MDGs and the SDGs. We have passed the era of ideologies. Of course, although neoliberal ideology is still hanging around through the World Bank and IMF, through the Bretton Woods institutions, we know that. All right? Yeah. But now again, they have produced scientifically tested best practices for developing nations through the Millennium Development Goals and then the Sustainable Development Goals. And those principles, those models of development were developed from concept of freedom, capability, and ability. What you are capable of, what your resources can assist you to do, you do it. But give us a plan of action. We are going to do it. Are you following? If it is realistic, we will tell you it's realistic. They don't tell you to do what you cannot do. And if you do them, they come back, to do assessment, peer review of your activities. That is what African Union, the 55 members, and then the African diaspora are joining them because of the quantum of remittances they make home. Okay? So that they also have a voice as to how their own society can be developed. Because if you are sending money and no development is going on, you are wasting it. You get tired. You get frustrated. So African diaspora is now part of African Union. They have a voice there. Now, African Union says, we will go to the United Nations, of which most Africans are also, African heads of state are members. We listen to what they say about development patterns. The Chinese also go there. When they listen, they'll go back and say, yes, we are going to do this capitalism with Chinese flair. There's a concept they use. We add that one. We add it to it. So it will enable them. They're still operating a kind of socialism. All these Chinese people you are seeing, and they are doing what? The money is not going to their pocket. They remit the thing back to headquarters. And they are given enough to develop their senses and faculty. They are also allowed to be able to be so creative that they will become millionaire roasting corn in Nigeria. So they will rise to the level of millionaires. You know what? They unleashed 100 million to the world when they wanted to integrate. When they finished dealing with their own people through moral character training, those they want to. Now today, go and steal public money in China. What happens? You get killed. So why are we thinking that is not a solution for Nigeria's problem? We've got to a point where Rawlings did it for Ghana a few years ago. He killed 5 successive leaders because he found out that all of them have cornered a portion of the economy. I'm in charge. Don't come here. This oil. This that should be used to develop, create school, hospital, electricity, infrastructure for people. You now hijack it. What happened? Because they made you leader. He got angry and killed all of them and told them that these are the crimes they committed. Be watching me. When I want to do that, if you want to help me, call my attention to it. Otherwise, when I don't listen, you do the same thing I've done to these people. That was how he survived. There were a few times he wanted to place a wrong step. The wife would say, the good of time is waiting for you. He said, you are right. I don't know whether you get it. It is fear that make people to keep within bounds. I don't know whether you understand me. So the Sustainable Development Goals that United Nations have enabled us to faction and then giving it to African Union, and African Union will call African heads of state and say, Nigeria, what is your national plan of action for this year? Reduce illiteracy by half. Can you do that? Yeah, we have the resources to do that. Okay. Girl child education, primary education. Can you increase the population by this size? They have the resources to do so. They will agree. Now, the one that is most appalling was the decision to silence all guns by 2020. Nigeria endorse it. All African nations endorse it. In China, in Ghana, the head of state said, if you see any cattle that is moving about, please arrest the cattle. Arrest the cattle. Yes, I know. Arrest the cattle, kill it and do suya and enjoy yourself. And he didn't only say that because we have an anti-open grazing law in Delta State made by the... But if you see that the quantity of... I think it's looking like Kano now in Delta State. If you make a law and you don't enforce it, you probably... If you bring me into the central power equation, I've made the law. We have to be diplomatic now, but enforce it now. So you can still have your FIDE. I don't know, you can see the kind of arrangement people make to mortgage the happiness of their people. Do you understand what is going on? But Nigeria is not making any progress in the direction of Agenda 2063. I have edited a book for NEPAD. I involved some of our colleagues here, about 4 of them. I edited a book for NEPAD, over 800 pages, the biggest literature I've edited. I think I have 2 chapters there. We discussed this SDG thing, and then the National Plan of Action. Then the 3 agencies of the African Union, AUDA, that's African Union Development Agency, and then you now have the other one, New Partnership for Africa's Development, NEPAD, and then African Peer Review Mechanism, APRM. These are the 3 agencies of the United Nations to ensure that developing societies in Africa are guided to develop well. Each time they give them a target, Ghana will come and give a scorecard. And you see that Ghana has made, for one item, about 70% progress. Some 60. Okay, what are the challenges? Why didn't meet 100? They tell them, okay, they give them another guidance and support from partners, from development partners. That's why that agenda 17 is very important. If you don't have all the resources to do it, we appoint partners to you. I'm talking of NEPAD. That's what NEPAD does now to help African nations. The thing you say you want to do, and it is good. Look at it. The thing you say you want to do, you say it is good for your people and country. You sign it. Now you now go and do the contrary. What is wrong? Is it leadership or character? The character is contaminated. And when they are doing it, they don't even have a conscience that, oh, I am doing what I said I will not do. That tells you that's a problem. The problem is not that leadership, because you will become a leader. You will become a leader. If not for a state, your family, you become a leader in your family, a husband, Abi. And when you are in a department, you become a head of department, a dean. That's leadership now. But what qualities did they put in you growing up? You pick it in literature, you pick it and decided that I want to go this way. Many people don't decide that way. They do what is convenient. And most of the time, these things that are convenient are incremental misbehavior that can snowball into crisis, the kind we're having in the country today. The remedy we seek for all our travails, including running corporations well, running state agencies well, it's not in rebellion. It's not what? In rebellion. Because you say, okay, if you do revolution, you chase them out of the way. To reorganize the country again becomes an uphill task. If you look at Libya, you look at Syria, some of these countries that went into war because their leaders were adamant. But there were other countries in the world when the people say we don't want. Okay, how do you want it? We want to be our own. Russia did it in 2017 at the collapse of the Bolshevik Revolution. What was the cause? There was no bread. The people went to the street. They said they don't want this kind of empire again. That was how the Soviet Union ended. The only remaining part of Soviet Union today is the Russian Federation, headed by Putin. The others, the last to break away was Georgia. All these small countries are doing well. Czechoslovakia, that name is jaw-breaking, and Yugoslavia, they had problems. The many problems. They said no, okay, go your way, go our way. We can still relate. We are the same nation. Are you following? That is the way to go. If you see Said Abubakar, the head of the caliphate, our sultan, this thing I'm telling you, I will tell him. In the Nigerian Army Resource Center, the first time they invited me, I told them not to invite me again because they invited me and gave me a topic to write. And I brought a literature like this, 30 topics, the same in a literature where people like Jimmy Carter contributed about electoral violence and all that. What do you want me to say? Now, look at the book. It's saying the same thing. Why don't you want me to say something fresh? Are you following? So please, next time, don't invite me. They got angry and invited me again. They said, this is the broad team. Say your own now. I said my own. There, I told them the story of Odi, that if Ambisha was to be brought down by government, they would have done it in less than 3 days and 3 weeks. You move the infantry, the Air Force will be hovering, then the Navy will go to Chad, where you have water, and be waiting. Where are they going to run to? I asked them, who born Boko Haram? If the state says they are not born well, to use pidgin, they not born you well, to disrupt Nigeria. But they were saying, these are bad people. It's our people. These are bad people. It's our people. That's what. Now they are now attacking them. They've killed one Emma in Sokoto. I don't see how they can reverse the trend. You can see my predicament. Why I'm not too eager to talk about those beautiful concepts. They are wonderful. But to drive it into people, you need some environment. Where when you are talking, you find about 30 people supporting you, not only in words, but in deed. Not after saying yes, we do it, they will go back and be doing something else. And if you are not careful, they will compromise you. That's the situation we have in the country. So the fine leadership guys you are training, if you don't tell them, they will tell themselves, they will go away. They will jackpa. They can only kakpa when we create that environment. And the way to create that environment is to put moral character in our children. Not you and I. If I misbehave, they punish me. It's punishment that will make me a little frightened and go away. Not preaching. Are you following? Because I'm firm in my way. All those things you are preaching, it's fine. I'll be nodding my head. I'll be clapping for you. When it comes to doing, we do the thing we have been formed to do. And we will not even know that we are doing it. You see the problem now? That's the problem. So what am I asking you? Why did I even accept to come here? You are a respected university and you are doing well. Join the Philosophers Association in this advocacy in the Ministry of Education. Let's go. Ondo State people have done that. They have even done a draft and say, when we have a nation, we invite you to join us. Ekiti, Fayemi. Also, so this is what we have done so far. The Yoruba have developed what they call development agenda of Western Nigeria. If you stop at Ogun State boundary with another state, if it is 6 lane here, 6 lane, you continue from there. It's like what you find in Europe. You'll be driving and you're thinking that it's one country. It's only somebody that will tell you that you have entered another country. That's what we mean by sustainable development of infrastructure. Africans have seen it, and they say they are going to do it in Agenda 2063. But they say before you get there, do the one that will incrementally lead you there. Nigeria has not done anyone, or well, a few. Trying to empower women, which is good. I will hope they can do more, because men are just killing themselves for nothing. They want to be heads of family. I'm in charge. I'm in charge. You buy broom. You buy house. Only you. Let's give our female colleagues, our sisters, others, more opportunities. Although some have disappointed also. Some are doing well. Unilag, LASU, you see there are women. They are taking over Calabar. Women vice chancellors. You are colleagues. You know them. But a few, almost about the same time, are disappointing us. Look at Beta Edu. Hey, that girl wanted to create crisis. Say, this thing we were carrying money anyhow during the election. So now this one, now this time. They say, shut up. They don't talk it like that. They come. They say, you get killed though. Calm down, calm down. We still return you to power. That's how they calm that young girl down. You know, people, he was just saying, what is strange? I transfer money to my account. We've been, God. The remedy we seek is not in rebellion, but in unremitting virtue. And what is virtue? The cultivation and habituation of admirable moral character. I thank you for listening. So I will let somebody take this with Vice Chancellor. Let them look at it. Those who want to subscribe, if they subscribe, get to me. Yeah, but this is for yourself. Thank you.
Please can once again applaud the keynote speaker for that very fascinating delivery. Thank you so much, Professor Jim Una. Can we please be seated? Thank you so much for your patience thus far. Our time is fast spent, and then we're about to wrap up this session so that members of management, led by the Vice Chancellor, can continue with his very demanding schedule. Permit me in 1 minute to summarize, though very daunting, what the keynote speaker has said. Professor Jim Una is a distinguished professor of philosophy from University of Lagos, has come today to bring us his thoughts on the theme of the conference, Integrating Leadership and Development for Africa. He began by asking us to permit him to view this very important topic from the prism of his intellectual bent in philosophy. And he begged to accommodate integrating character and critical thinking into leadership. Professor Ona made a case for a society of culture of integrity, which I suppose dominated most of his discourse. He said we should nurture the characteristics of leadership in young people, beginning from their formative years in elementary, primary, and of course, secondary school levels. Professor Ona made an advocacy to grow a community of culture of integrity among Nigerian youths and by implication, African youths. He told us that things to do to train people into character are universal, accommodated in all religion and all laws, through all civilizations. All these demands do not show any kind of bias for any culture or religion. He stressed that law should give morality its credibility. Law can be used to correct a corrupt society. According to Professor Ona, he cited the Chinese society as an example where this has happened over the years. He argued that to build character, you take it to the elementary school level and, of course, the formative years of the life of young people. This, according to him, will build a community of human beings with the same values and not have confusions or contradictions in their value system. He admonished the audience, you and I, to develop indigenous approach to solving our character problems rather than looking to the West for solutions. He made a case for a system that develops a character by doing the right thing. As a matter of fact, as he mentioned that line, I remember that very popular distinction that the management guru himself, Peter Drucker, made between management and leadership. He said that leadership is doing the right thing, while management is doing things right. He made a case that every system that wants to have an enduring legacy must do the right thing, other than doing things right. He narrowed his focus to the national crisis of leadership in our country, especially within the petroleum sector. He hinted on the MDGs and SDGs as frameworks that have set the metrics for assessing leaders across countries and across nations. He made a case for capital punishment for corrupt leaders across Africa, as exemplified in China and other advanced nations. He concluded by profiling solutions, or what he tagged the remedy, and he said he's not giving to revolutions or rebellion as an enduring remedy to all of the national crises, but rather the building of sustainable character into the national fabrics of our society. He finally concluded by making a strong case for women to have larger representation in leadership in order to foster nation building. Can we please once again put our hands together for Professor Ona for that very interesting delivery. It's my honor at this point to invite the Registrar of Covenant University, Mrs. Regina Toby David, to bring us a wrap-up in the course of this session. Please, ma.
Once again, good morning to us all. I recognize the Vice Chancellor and the keynote speaker. In fact, I was so impressed with your delivery. That delivery was so expository. Can we put our hands together for him once more? In fact, it's just like you should continue. Indeed, you have showed us the stuff you are made of. Prof, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming to this conference and setting the pace. I know this will form the basis of the other discussion and discourse that will go on in this conference. We have never had it so. I believe members of the press are here. I think the session just presented as the wrap of the summary of the presentation. I'm sure that should be published so that, it will fly all over the country so that our leaders can know where to start from. Building morality into children, right from the nursery, primary, secondary, so that we can build a lasting legacy about leadership, especially leadership with integrity. You believe me, that is what we need in our world today. Leadership with integrity. Persons who will stand and say no to this and will stand on the truth no matter what the situation is. Prof, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And the organizers of this conference, thank you so much. The Dean of the College of Leadership, thank you so much. All our deans that are present here, thank you so much for being part of this program. The LOC, thank you so much. All the other distinguished speakers will be speaking later. Thank you so much for being part of this. Those who are connected online and those that are present here, thank you so much. All the other participants, faculty, staff, others that are here, Thank you for being part of this program and especially this morning session. Thank you. God bless you all. At this point also, it is my honor and privilege to present the keynote speaker with just a token of recognition of your contribution. So this is a presentation made to the distinguished speaker, that's to Professor Jim Ujeni Unang, in recognition of your exceptional keynote address at the First Covenant University Conference on Leadership and Development, CUCLeD 2024, for your outstanding contribution to the advancement of knowledge. We did appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm honored and delighted. And if you invite me, I will come again.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Ma. Please, can we applaud again the Registrar of Covenant University? Thank you, Ma, for honoring us with your presence. The Vice Chancellor has permitted that we have group photograph, the keynote speaker, organizing committee members, of course, our distinguished deans and professors with the Vice Chancellor immediately before we proceed for the tea break. Thank you again for your patience. We are reconvening shortly after to continue with the conference. Thank you. God bless you.
And Covenant University prides itself in raising a new generation of leaders, which we have been able to do successfully for the past 22 years. Some of our graduates are out there all over the world blazing the trail. And it is my pleasure this afternoon to present some of our alumni that are here with us. We have about 3 of them that will be taking us in this session. And they are Mrs. Jennifer Olachi Uchendu, who would be coming online. And then we have Mrs. Ibukun Akinola, who is here with us. And they will be taking us, in turns. The first person is going to be Jennifer Olachi Uchendu. I believe she's connected via the Zoom link. Studio, please, could you connect us with her? Okay, thank you very much. We have her on screen. So we'll be going straight to the presentation, but before then, would want the studio to read, to present her citation.
Jennifer Olachi Uchendu is the first of 4 children born to Mr. and Mrs. Maxwell Uchendu of Amaracha, Umokorodo, Umaya South, Abia State. She is best known as founder of Susty Vibe, a leading youth-led non-profit organization working to increase awareness and action on sustainability issues in Africa. Jennifer has a master's degree in development studies from the Institute of Development Studies United Kingdom under the Shaving Scholarship. She is also a recipient of the University College London Impact Scholarship, where she is currently completing a degree in public health. Her work on youth and environmental sustainability has earned her multiple accolades, awards, and fellowships, including the U.S. government's Mandela Washington Fellowship, Ashoka, Omega Resilience, to name just a few. In 2023, Jennifer was named as one of the BBC's 100 most inspiring women for her work on climate change and mental health. She is also a wife and a mother to a beautiful son.
Welcome, Mrs. Jennifer Olachi Uchendu.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, and really lovely to be here. I stand on existing protocols. It's such a pleasure to come back to Covenant University to contribute and to share more about my story and the work that I do with sustainable development. I have to share that I'm still on maternity leave, and I literally jumped out to be part of this conference, because I cannot share my success story and the work that I do without the immense contribution of Covenant University and this institution to my work. I don't have a presentation per se. I would choose to share a story and share my story on how I've been part of sustainable development in Nigeria and now globally, as well as the work that I do. And also sharing the roots in Covenant University and how this all began. I have a first degree in biochemistry. And in doing biochemistry, and I'm sure our VC is very much aware, I learned a lot about the human body. I also learned about nature and the environment, things like biofuels, biotransformation. It was in my third year that I got introduced to the concept of biotransformation and the many ways that nature can transform itself for us to, have a lot of good. I also learned about biomimicry, when we see the airplanes and see how they're shaped like birds and how man is able to learn from nature to adapt and thrive. And it was really fascinating. One thing Covenant University and the four walls of the classrooms did for me was to inspire my curiosity and creativity. And within Covenant University, I started to gain massive interest in biofuels and solar energy, even as a biochemist. And I thought perhaps there could be a place for more and more people to learn about science and, how we can use science to improve our world, improve our environment. And I came out, graduated, and knew that I instantly wanted to do work on the environment. Very interestingly, the first thing I did coming out of school was to go to volunteer at the Lagos State Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources. And I went there and I told them, I want to work for free. I want to learn more about how these policies come together at the state level. And I want to just soak myself. I'm a fresh graduate. And the first thing they told me is, you have to be a spy or something. Someone must have sent you. It's impossible that a young person just wants to work for free. And this was not NYC or anything. I wanted to come to the office every day and learn from different people about their processes. I remember them asking me for an attestation letter. So I had to go back to Covenant University and say, please give me a letter to prove to, this state agency that I'm a real person, I'm a graduate, and I just want to learn from them. And thankfully, I was able to get that letter almost immediately. And I started this journey, this volunteering journey at the ministry. And that to me was my first introduction to real life work. To looking at how policies, happen, how energy management, working with the discos in Lagos State, working with secondary schools, trying to invite and inspire curiosity in young children, particularly students who were fortunate to receive solar power in their schools at the time. And that really began my journey. I didn't start Susty Vibes until much later, but I think it was really important that I share that sort of volunteering and service experience, because that opened my mind to what was possible. What was possible in the sense that I could volunteer and learn and get the skills I needed to move me to the next level of my life, but also profoundly to see the power of young people, power of youth in terms of creativity. It was in that ministry that I made my first comic book for children to learn more about sustainability and energy. It was also in that ministry that I learned more about public speaking and how to address people, particularly young people, and get them excited about this idea of environmental protection. Now, the work that I do at Susty Vibes is to make sustainability actionable, relatable, and cool. I'm known notably for my work on climate change and mental health. But before then, I was chiefly working on sustainability advocacy. Now, our keynote speaker talked a lot about the SDGs and the MDGs and this sort of global ambition to transform the world and make it a better place. Now, to actualize the SDGs or sustainable development, we need to understand, right? And he talked about going back to secondary schools, working with young people and inculcating these values in them at a very early stage. The work I do at Susty Vibes, practicalizes this and shows us what it means for young people to begin to take action. So we work with children from primary schools to secondary schools. We engage them in the idea of protecting the environment, show them what's possible, teach them, on energy management and the whole spectrum. And beyond going to schools, we also work with communities in terms of tree planting initiative, waste management, recycling, pushing advocacy. Wherever you hear of Susty Vibes, you hear of sustainability advocacy. In a couple of days' time, we're going to have this nationwide cleanup, for example, where we expect thousands of young people to come out.
Recording in progress.
Where we expect thousands of young people to come out and clean up their environment. We want to make sustainability a norm in Nigeria against the odds. And what are the odds, really? Massive corruption, lots of mental health issues, and this sense of hopelessness a lot of young people feel. And Susty Vibes is filling that gap in Nigeria today, working with a lot of organizations. The cleanup I spoke about, we're working with UPS to have these cleanups across Nigeria. And I'm really, really excited that Susty Vibes started and we decided to fill this gap. And why did I start Susty Vibes, really? It came out of a need that I had as a young person with a biochemistry background. I kept looking for ways to do work on sustainability. But every time I would hear, you don't have the experience, you didn't study sustainability in school, so this was not possible. So I decided to start, something and fill that gap where young people like myself can begin to engage in sustainability, can learn about sustainability. So learning through trainings, can invite experts to train and mentor and help us become those sustainability experts that we've been trying to be. And I think that boldness, that courage, that sort of leadership, creativity and skill came from Covenant University. And we talk about raising this next generation of leaders. And we see that sort of practice coming back in the work that we do at Susty Vibes, where we say, young people can and will, and several organizations and donors that we work with first recognize that possibility, that we believe in the power of young people to create, inspire, and actually do a lot of impact work in their communities. And several sort of global partners are starting to see that and also acknowledging and working with us. And so that's a huge privilege. Now, to the work that I do in relation to sustainable development, beyond advocacy, I started to do a lot more work on climate change and mental health, looking at, in a much more broader sense, what are the impacts of the climate crisis on the mental health of people. When floods happen, when different sort of climate crises and disasters happen, how does it impact people on an emotional perspective, and what can we do to support them? And I've had to go back to school again to complete a public health degree so that I'm sort of balanced in that climate change, environmental and development perspective with also a public health, mental health knowledge. And together I'm able to work on something we call the Eco-Anxiety Africa project, where we do a lot of work on supporting young people who are struggling, especially on a mental health perspective when it comes to the environment. And these are just broad areas of some of the interventions and the work that we've done that has given us this sort of global recognition in the world today. I think for development to really be successful, it cannot be overstated, the power of young people. I've seen my work sort of become that catalyst where more and more young people within our community have come out to start their own organization or even lead amazing projects within organizations that they join. Several of them have gotten scholarships to continue their masters or PhDs. And we see that there's a ripple effect where an investment happens on one person and that person is able to impact others, and it just continues that way. is there hope for development or sustainable development in a country like Nigeria? The truth is yes. Despite massive brain drain and a lot of the issues that we see plaguing young people, there's also a glimmer of hope where we know that if we continue to invest in young people, if we continue to support young people, by support, I mean build agency, hear their decisions, hear their ideas, and actually actualize them, we see that there's a place where young people can begin to take leadership. I think my story is one of those. I remember talking to my supervisor, Professor Isaac, back then in Covenant University, telling him about how I wanted to do work on sustainable development, do work on sustainability in Nigeria. And while it seemed so impossible then, he actually encouraged me. He encouraged me by writing my reference letters to go in for my master's multiple years. And it took about 7 years before I eventually did my master's. But in those times, I was building Susty Vibes and I was building that portfolio of someone who's working on sustainable development in Nigeria. And just last year, I won the UK Alumni Award for Sustainability in Nigeria, out of several people, that were considered. It shows that there is impact being done, there's recognition being done, and lives are being changed. So there's multiple sort of factors that have come into actualizing the success story that my work is today. And I say Covenant University, has played an immense part in just giving me that push and telling me this is possible. And so we see that this can happen on a large scale, right? You can use this sort of case study and see what's possible on a large scale. What happens if young people are supported, empowered, and actually pushed with the courage and encouragement to do things, to start things no matter how small. Some of my very first platforms when I started Susty Vibes came from Covenant University, where I was able to address students and whatnot. I believe this is a sort of an interesting prototype to see what's possible with helping and pushing young people at the forefront. And these conversations have now gone global and mainstream in places like the Top Climate Change Conference. I'm constantly advocating for including youth voice in ways that are not sort of tokenist, in ways that actually push them to the fore and inspire and support them. In the future, I definitely want to work more at the university level. We're now putting together an application for more support and funding where we can replicate Susty Vibes at university level. And I know that Covenant University would, open its arms to me for me to try this, within the 4 walls. As it's done with me, I want definitely more and more founders, more and more young people who are passionate about sustainability to come out and begin to do stuff in our world, not just in Nigeria, but globally. So thank you for the opportunity. And I'm really, really excited that we're having conversations like this, conferences like this, where we're bringing bright minds, bringing alumni, bringing everyone together to talk about the way forward with development in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Uchendu. Your presentation was very insightful, and I must say that I'm quite excited and enthusiastic about it for 2 reasons. You are a perfect combination of the youth agency and the women agency. Yes, it's not your field, which is climate change and mental health, is a male-dominated field. And to have a woman blazing the trail is quite encouraging. Thank you once again. Covenant University is proud of you. So we go to the next presenter for the day. That is Mrs. Ibukun Akinola. She's the head of customer finance, Piggy Vest. She'll be coming on board shortly after the citation that will be played from the studio.
Ibukun Akinola is an entrepreneur and finance lead with over 10 years of experience in the Nigerian tech space, where she presently leads the customer finance team at Piggy Vest, one of Africa's foremost financial technology companies. She oversees support, compliance, dispute resolution, and processor partnerships. Ibukun's entrepreneurial journey started in 2014 when, along with our co-founders, started Push CV, an online recruitment platform aimed at bridging the gap between job seekers and employers of labor. Other products in their catalog include 500 dishes, 99 staff, and frontdesk.ng. In 2016, Piggy Bank NG, an online savings platform aimed at democratizing savings, was launched. In 2019, the product morphed into PiggyVest, adding micro-investment options to the platform, thereby making most investment instruments accessible and affordable to their over 5 million users who have savings in billions of naira. More products in the PiggyVest ecosystem include a spending and social commerce app called Pocket by PiggyVest. Ibukun is an advocate for the advancement of gender equality and women's rights and has spent the last 10 years doing that on various platforms.
Thank you very much. Please, let's put our hands together as we make welcome Ibukun Akinola.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ibukun, and I have some slides and some pictures that I would like to present. So I graduated in 2010. We used to hate these speeches so much when they used to force us to come and listen to them. So ironic that I am now one of the boring speakers. So like the citation, I'm one of 7 of Covenant University graduates that started Piggy Tech Global Limited. So we're 7 that graduated from here that run Piggy Tech. The picture will probably come up. You see my guys and I. We graduated between 2010 and 2012. I graduated in 2010 in accounting. Right. And like the previous speaker said, this was such an enabling environment for us to, first of all, think, right? And then we were taught to solve problems. So one of the things that was ingrained in our mentality was the ability to solve problems. And so that's how we came out. And then I, for one, went for my master's in the UK. And then when I was studying, one of the things that happened was that I was calling home. Oh yeah, this is all of us. I was calling home, and then I found out that AY, who's my brother, Sumto here, and Josh here, they all lived in my house with my dad, and they had started something. And so I started this thing called Paroles.com, which was a loyalty platform. And so because I was in the UK and that's something that, was widespread, I was telling them how it was working there. And so by the time I came back home, to the displeasure of my dad, we just came and just started to build. And so when we built that for a few months, we started to notice that really we wanted jobs, but we couldn't get jobs. And our mates wanted jobs as well. So we decided to solve that problem by building a job site. So we knew that we had people in the ecosystem already that had been doing that for years, but we decided that we wanted to approach it in a different manner, which was going to be our unique selling point, and which is why we launched Push CV. So Push CV at the time, we launched in 2014. And what we're doing at the time was that we were pre-screening candidates for jobs. So we solved the problems of the employers having to put out the job and, interview the person, blah, blah, blah. So we just, kind of summarize it and say, we'll give you 10 people that are ready to start job now. All you need to do is to pick the one you liked. And so we did that. In 2015, we ran it. We were very viral. We had almost, at the time, we had 1 million pre-screened candidates. So at the time, we were doing graduate trainings for some of these banks and the big SMEs, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, we tried that for a few years. And then the next thing, like I said, because we're always looking at how we're going to solve the problems that millennials, especially us at the time, were facing. So we now began to see that people have money problems, and not just money problems, but how to keep their money and make it last longer, right? So that's when at the time, let me not lie, at the time we ran out of money, we're broke, and it's almost like it's either we go back to looking for jobs by ourselves and close this thing, because we made huge mistakes, right? And of course, we learned from them. And so we picked that. And then we then decided, because something had happened on Twitter. I don't know if all of you here know about Twitter, but yeah, where they really used to abuse us. So something happened on Twitter where there was this lady that had saved 1,000 naira daily. And she had saved it in 2015. So all through 2015, she saved it. And on December 31st, she broke it. So it was 365,000 naira at the time. And so it went really viral on Twitter and everybody wanted to do it. Obviously, we too wanted to do it, so we bought boxes, but it was a matter of days before we found out that you can't really be doing that. It takes the Lord to really, and the discipline of the Lord really, for you to keep saving money consistently in a box. And so one of the things that we decided to do at the time was say, okay, we have this experience building things. Okay, these were the things we had built and failed at, obviously. So we built all of this between that time. So we're saying, okay, what are the things, what can we do to democratize this, to make this very accessible to people? And so because we had experience building these other things that were done before, we decided to bring it online. Now, savings is not new. We've been saving since the beginning of time. So one of the things we decided to do was to add technology to it, even though there was technology in banking already. And so we found out that the problem really was the discipline problem. So the discipline to put money consistently in a place without touching it, that's where the big problem is. So because we had experience in doing all of these things before, again, we had dealt with 1 million users plus, we had dealt with the banks, we had dealt with the big guys, so we knew. So we started this thing called piggyback.ng, where it was going to be what? We were going to be able to save any amount of money, daily, weekly, or monthly. And our partners at the time, Paystack, had just launched as well and built an infrastructure where this could be recurring. So instead of you to stand up and actually go and put money in a box, you would just be getting your alert at 6 p.m. every day or 2 p.m. every day. So we started with what? Maybe 200 users. Right now, we are about 7 million users between all our, So between all of the products that we've built, so this is Pocket by PiggyVest, which is the spending arm of PiggyVest. And then there is Patronize, which is our merchant arm. Now, PiggyVest started with barely 7 people, now about 150 people in staff. And in 2024, we're named as one of the top 250 fintechs in the world by CNBC. This is just the latest one. Of the many years that has gone by, we've had different awards and all of that. So all of that is just our story. And majorly it's a dream that started up from young people that actually went to a good enabling environment. And I cannot overemphasize, like the previous speaker said, the amount of work that this environment actually did for us. Our story is not complete if 7 people from Covenant University did not. Well, we didn't meet here. Some of us knew each other here. But as God will have it, as fate will have it, this is the last retreat that we had some weeks ago. This is the count of PiggyTech Global Limited. It's so surreal to see that a tiny dream has become this global phenomenon. Right. So one of the sub-themes, and as Elias said, that I am passionate about as well, is gender equality. And it's one of the things that's seen in the brochure and what was sent to me. And I think this is also one of these places I learned as well, where there is no barrier. You know how you are in a bubble, and then when you come out, you actually find out that there is so many things against you. As a woman, you cannot do X. As a woman, you cannot do Y, right? And the fact that in a university environment like this, we, or I am speaking for myself, did not have to see that problem was such an enabler for me. For example, in PiggyTech now, there are more women than men there, right? When staff-wise, if you count, I mean, it's very visible. And then one of the things we do is when we're hiring, we don't check gender. So it's not about gender, it's about who can do the work. So if you're an engineer, we don't care if you're a woman or a man. Can you do the work, right? And it's one of the things that we pride ourselves in. My co-founder and I, Odun, we are so passionate about that. And if you can just scroll a bit to where I talk about gender equality. In the tech ecosystem, right, with the money, the billions of dollars that came into Africa last year, we just, of course, not billions of dollars, I'm just exaggerating. However, 2% of that came to, just 2%, a mere 2% came to companies that were female-led or had a female co-founder, right? And that is one of the things that people like me and my friends are trying to solve, in the sense that why, when it's proven that women-led companies do better, why would just 2% come in? This is why I'm saying, sometimes you come out and you don't understand the troubles you are going to face because you never faced them, either at home or in school. And for example, there's some examples I want to bring up. So the next slide has two important people that I really love. These people have decided that they're going to come together, and they created a $12 million fund, right? What they're doing is that they're going to be investing majorly in women-led and women-focused companies, right? And they have been doing it for a few years. One of them, went to Covenant as well, right? And is also one of my co-founders, right? And then we have plethora of examples of female leaders that I don't need to do any convincing, because the point is that you put money in the hands of women, the economy booms. One of the people I like it's very true. One of the people I really like to talk about is Tony Elumelu. I really love him because he's one of the people that he's really doing. He's doing, like, all of his companies are led by women, right? The next slide has two important people. For example, this is Owen and this is Dupe. Dupe Olushola leads Transcorp, and it's now the largest Nigerian company to hit a 1 trillion naira capital market. This was in 2024. Yes, right. These are women that are doing big stuff. I mean, you can just throw a stone and you hit at a Covenant University graduate female student doing something. First class graduates, do we begin to compare how many were men and how many were women? Right. So I think with these few points of mine, again, thank you for having me. And it's such a pleasure to come back home. Thank you to the leadership and everyone. I'm so grateful for this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ibukun. That was very interesting. Very interesting. And I must appreciate you once again for telling us and re-emphasizing that women are better managers. Thank you very much. Yes, that was one of my key takeaways from our presentation. Thank you. So, yes, we should dare to dream. That was one of the things I also picked from her presentation. And we should be deep thinkers. Sometimes, in fact, most times, necessity is the mother of invention. She said they were looking for jobs, and then they thought, and that idea came forth. And it has brought about 7 million users on board. I pray that we'll find destiny, and destiny will locate us in Jesus' name. So our last presenter, who is also an ego, coincidentally, they are all three ladies. Please, let's put our hands together for them. Yes. The third presenter, that is Chiamaka Obwekwe. Sorry if I didn't get that pronunciation right. I'm so enthusiastic about this presenter because she was once my student. So it's quite a pleasure for me right now to bring her on board to make her own presentation. I believe she's online. Please, studio, can you confirm that?
Chiamaka Obwekwe is a seasoned tour operator and tourism expert. She is the CEO and founder of innovative tourism company Social Perfect Tours. Social Perfect Tours is a notable tour operating company that promotes African tourism and connects people. Social Perfect Tours organizes unique travel experiences, group tours, school excursions, corporate retreats, team bondings, holiday packages, and also offers tour guide services within Africa, especially in Nigeria, to educate people about the beauty region. The company also creates packages for foreigners who come into Nigeria and take them on tourism expeditions. She's a pioneer in the Nigerian group tourism market, having inspired and helped a lot of tour operators to start their own group tour companies. Chiamaka was recognized on the 2018 list as one of the Nigeria's 100 most inspiring women, according to Leading Ladies Africa. Also named as one of the Africa's top 100 women in tourism in 2017 and top 100 tour operators in Africa in 2018 by Aquaba Travel Market and Africa Travel Quarterly. She was a recipient of the prestigious Eloy Award in 2017 as the Woman Who Inspires in Tourism and winner of a Network Women of the Year Award in the hospitality category in 2017. In 2018, Social Perfect Tours won the Best Tour Operator at the Pine University Awards. She has been nominated for several other awards. She's a travel expert who is really passionate about changing the face of tourism in Nigeria. She has traveled to most states in Nigeria, discovering beautiful tourist attractions and sharing them with the world. She has also worked on tourism projects such as Explore Bauchi with the Bauchi state government. She has also worked with various tour brands as an influencer like Skechers, Samsung, South African Tourism, Smile Communications, Malta Guinness, and more. Her work has been featured on various media platforms, and she has been interviewed on popular media platforms including CNN, Guardian Life, Guardian Women, Yahoo News, Genevieve Magazine, Bella Jar, Punch, The Spark Bright Business Day, Seriously Speaking on Channels TV, Leading Ladies Africa, Why Ninja, This Day, Ebony Live TV, Arise News, Wazobia TV, Classic FM, Lagos Talks FM, Everything Digital, just to mention a few. CNN Inside Africa featured her for great work in using social media to promote tourism alongside two other social media magnets, Linda Ikeji and Sisi Yemi. Reuters and AFP, two international news companies, have also featured and interviewed her. She has also spoken at various platforms like TEDx UI, Social Media Week, Nestle Nigeria, New Media Conference, Jumia Travel Summit, Nigeria Association of Tour Operators, AGM, and lots more. She is also very dedicated to empowering the youth of entrepreneurship. She was named as one of the 5 bloggers of 2016 according to Guardian Life.
Please let's put our hands together as we welcome Chiamaka on board for 15 minutes.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Can you all hear me?
We can hear you, Chiamaka.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm super honored to be here today. I stand on all existing protocols. It's such an honor to be here. I wish I was there physically with you all. However, I'm a little indisposed. Thank you all for having me. Thank you very much, Professor Duriji, for ensuring that I, was part of this conference. I'm very honored, especially because you're one of my lecturers in Covenant University. Honestly, I can't talk about my time in Covenant University without talking about my great department. I studied international relations, and I was in the Department of Policy and Strategic Studies. I believe the name has changed now, but basically it was the department that combined international relations, political science, and policy and strategic studies. And we had some of the best lecturers in the whole university. And some of them are here today. Thank you very much, everyone. I'm so excited. I think attending Covenant University is one of the, greatest joys of my life, and it's one of the things that I hold in highest esteem because it has made me who I am today. I learned a lot from Covenant University. Studying international relations opened my eyes to, learning about several countries in the world, their history, their politics, their foreign policies, their national image, how they relate to one another, And basically, how the world is built. It's opened my eyes and made me want to know more about the world. Hence why I decided to, further take on an interest in tourism, especially world tourism. So learned a lot of things from the core values of Covenant University. I'm sure a lot of you sitting here today know about our core values, which are spirituality, possibility mentality, capacity building, integrity, responsibility, diligence, and sacrifice. For me, I think 3 of my favorites from those 7 core values are possibility mentality, capacity building, and integrity. Because I hold those values, personal to me. I believe that, we must always think about solutions. We must be solution driven, and that's where possibility mentality comes into play. We must always find ways to be innovative about our fields of interest and anything that we do. Capacity building also, speaks from innovation on thinking differently and building capacity for, our various fields. And of course, integrity, we all know what that is. I always want to be a person of honor wherever I am represented or wherever I have to be. So integrity is very important, and many of these things Covenant University taught me. Also, there's one course. It's a 1-unit course. I believe it still is, but it's very, I enjoyed it so much. It was entrepreneurial development studies, and at the practical level, I took on public speaking, and it really has helped me a lot till date. I really, really enjoyed public speaking in Covenant University. I learned a lot about how to speak in public, how to enunciate, how to debate, how to speak intelligently, and give speeches in front of people. And it was an interesting course. And then I think last but not least, one very important thing, or one thing I really also enjoyed about Covenant University, which was like a pastime while I was there, was one of the things I did that I really enjoyed, that was non-academic in nature, was I was a member of the Tour Guide Association. A lot of people don't know or did not know that this existed. The association was established by one of my lecturers in international relations, Professor Sheriff Folari. Being a CU tour guide was very interesting. So for major conferences like this, when we had like dignitaries in town, or whenever the CU entrance examinations were taking place, we would take the intending parents of the students on tours around the school, and we'll tell them, about the significance of several buildings. We'll tell them things that made Covenant University interesting. We'll tell them about the, core values and several other things that made Covenant University unique. And, and we'll do this on a bus tour. So the tour guide, about 2 of us would be in each bus and explaining to the parents, and they could also ask us questions. And doing this was so interesting and exciting, being in a bus full of parents, telling them several things, them asking us questions and not being shy. I think it really made me, it emboldened me, and I learned a lot about, public speaking, about problem solving, and just about being a tour guide. And it's really ignited my interest in this field. So today, briefly, in the remaining minutes that I have, I want to talk about a very important topic that is not really talked about while sharing my own story. And that is the power of failing forward, embracing failure to reach success as leaders. Many times when we talk about failure, a lot of people are like, the subject makes people uncomfortable. it's a word that many people fear. A lot of people try to avoid failure at all costs. But let me tell you something. Failure is not the end. It is just the beginning. The truth is that, many things that we fear, if we allow ourselves to take those risks and, fail forward, we eventually come out successful. Let me share my own little story about failure. So the truth is that I've failed many times in my life and at different points. But one that stands out will be when I lost my first job. So after NYSC, I was invited for an interview at Jumia, one of Nigeria's leading e-commerce companies. And it was one of the major tech companies that was established in Nigeria. And I think I got the job, I think out of about maybe, can't remember, but maybe 100 people that came that day for the interview. I was one of the top three that were chosen. And I immediately started working there. I worked there for 2 years and it was a really interesting place to work. I enjoyed it, made a lot of friends, learned a lot. And I think after 2 years, I had moved to my third department there when there was a company-wide retrenchment, which affected several staff, over 100 staff, because lots of people were working there at that time. And I was one of the people that was let go. And of course, I wasn't really happy, but thankfully, I had already started a passion project of mine on tourism, social prefectures. I hadn't defined it then or given it a proper name, but I started it by the side in a way. And so I decided to focus on it and build it. And that's when the journey started. It's been a very interesting journey. It's 9 years now, but starting then, I love tourism. I love to explore, and I wanted to tell the story about different tourist destinations around Nigeria that were not very popular. A lot of people didn't know that several places existed. I'm sure many people today do not know that, Nigeria has several attractions from mountains to hills to waterfalls, the rich history and culture. These are things that lots of people want to come to Nigeria to see. Even Nigerians within Nigeria don't know about all the beauty that exists in the country. So I just wanted to tell those stories, and I decided to start traveling by myself to some places in Nigeria. I went to places like Idonre Hills in Ondo, Erinjesha waterfalls in Osun State, Ikogosi Warm Springs in Ekiti, Olumo Rock that many people know of in Abeokuta, and so many more of these places. And thankfully, with the use of digital media, I started a blog, because a lot of people, when I post on my social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, people would ask me where these places were. And when I told them that they were in Nigeria and that these were their names, they'd be so surprised and say they didn't know that, we had so many beautiful places that existed like this, and they wanted to learn more. So I decided to start a blog to document these places that I was visiting and to tell more about the stories of tourism in Nigeria. And this was basically how it started. So when I started the blog, I now started receiving comments that, oh, this looks so exciting, that can I join you on this next trip? Maybe when next you're going to Osun State or Ondo or anywhere else you're going, that can I join you? And I was getting these kinds of comments from several people. And that's when I decided to start the company, a tourism company which would bring several people together to explore places around Nigeria and eventually Africa, and then now to the world. But when I started, I didn't even know it was going to be something that would be so big and even inspire several other people to start their own tourism companies and to also take an interest in tourism within Africa and beyond. Today, the company is 9 years old, and we've served well over 10,000 individuals in 20 different countries. We've impacted lives. We have worked with several corporate organizations. We've been featured on several local and international media, one of the most prominent being CNN on Inside Africa. We have received numerous awards, and it has been such a great experience. I can say boldly that, our company is one of the pioneers in tourism, especially youth-led tourism in Nigeria. And we opened the door for a lot of people to take interest more on tourism in Nigeria, a part that, a lot of people have not been open to. And the thing is, I think the lack of awareness the lack of awareness basically on tourism in Nigeria is one of the things that has not made it thrive here. And this is something that has really helped to grow a lot of economies in Africa and around the world. Tourism is $1 billion, field that employs a lot of people and opens a lot of doors. And, it is tourism, the amount of jobs that can come out from tourism are numerous. So basically, if I allowed, the fact that I had lost my job to weigh me down, instead of taking actions, we won't be where we are today. All this would not have possible if I didn't experience failure. If I had allowed that to weigh me down instead of taking action and ignoring the risk and doing it afraid, social protectors will not be where it is today, impacting so many lives. So failure is not the opposite of success. It's a part of it. So do not be afraid to fail. Embrace it, learn from it, and use it as a motivation to succeed. Remember that every great story has a chapter on failure. Think about all the successful people you know, the great leaders, the innovative thinkers, the trailblazers, people like Oprah Winfrey, Albert Einstein, Bill Gates, Abraham Lincoln, even a lot of the lecturers in Covenant University, and so many more. And even like Ibukun, the speaker before me, spoke about Piggy Tech and all the founders and all the amazing things they've done, and even how they had failed before and how they are now successful. If these people did not fail, they won't have grown. So there's so much we can learn from failure. They have failed multiple times, but they did not let failure define them. Instead, they use their failures as stepping stones to success. So in fact, failure is a necessary part of success. It's the lessons we learn from our failures that help us grow and become better versions of ourselves. When we fail, we get an opportunity to reflect on our actions, analyze our mistakes, and come up with better strategies for the future. Embracing the idea of failing forward does not mean that you are striving to fail. It does not even mean that you enjoy failing. It simply means that you understand that failure is a part of the journey. You won't allow the fear of failing stop you from taking right-sized risks. Likewise, it means that you will not allow the pain and embarrassment of actually failing to be the end of your journey on success. As John Maxwell said, when achievers fail, they see it as a momentary event, not a lifelong epidemic. To end, I would say a quote from Teddy Roosevelt, who was the 26th President of the United States, and he was no stranger to adversity. Roosevelt's ability to use failure to grow and move forward helped him achieve incredible success. And this was an excerpt from a speech that he made, The Man in the Arena. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again, but there is no effort without error and shortcoming. Who does actually strive to do deeds? Who knows great enthusiasm, the great devotion, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. So rather than viewing failure and adversity as a negative part of life, we can actually choose to embrace it as a learning experience and an opportunity to reflect on our strengths and weaknesses. If I did not embrace my failures and use that as a stepping stone to success, social prefectures will not be where it is today. I may never have had the opportunity to be on CNN or to receive several awards, but I think the most important thing for me is the level of impact that my company has created. People on our tours have been able to meet, lifelong friends, have had business opportunities from the networking opportunities that they've made from people they've met on our tours. We've exposed people's minds to several parts of the world. We've explored over 20 countries around the world, and people have been able to, open their eyes and think of innovative solutions through traveling. We've used tourism as a tool, of impacting lives and basically creating so many great things that would not have been possible if I did not dare to embrace failure and face those challenges head on. I thank Covenant University for the role it has played in my life and the life of several others, and for creating an avenue and platform for us to express ourselves and, grow as eagles. And I'm just really excited to have been part of this conference today. Thank you to everyone who put this together. And I hope and I pray that this conference will be used to impact so many lives, and that as this is the first edition, all the editions in future would even be greater and greater. I wish you all success, and I pray for nothing but the best for you. Thank you for having me here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Chiamaka. A wise man once said, "Don't tell me you are a success who has never experienced failure before," because failure is indeed a critical component of success. And that idea resonates with Chiamaka's theory of failing forward. Thank you once again, Chiamaka. And I want to appreciate her especially because I appreciate all our presenters specially, please. I need to state that. But she embodied our core value of sacrifice by being a part of this conference. She's actually ill, and based on medical advice, she's not meant to, do anything stressful. But she chose to be part of us. So thank you, Chiamaka. Yes, I want to appreciate all our presenters from Jennifer to Ibukun and to Chiamaka. And I want to use this platform also to push their brands forward. They are blown. They are mega. They don't need any pushing forward, but I want to do that, including, and that includes our participants online. We've had Susty Vibes, who is into sustainable development. We have Piggy Tech. I'm actually a subscriber on Piggy Tech, and it's a very good brand. And we have Social Prefect also. They organize tours for individuals and for companies. So for our various organizations that are here, we can reach out to them. If we need contacts or whatever it is that we need to reach any of them, we can reach out to the local organizing committee. Yes, so the testimonies from our graduates rather have proven that Covenant University is indeed doing a thing when it comes to raising a new generation of leaders. And we are just starting. And I hope that from this conference, aspiring visionaries and dynamic leaders will emerge in Jesus' name. To appreciate our presenters, I would like to invite our Dean, Dr. Dayo Odukoya, to present the token that we have to them. So for our presenters that came online, our virtual presenters, please rest assured that your awards would be dispatched to you respectively. But we'll be presenting our token to our physical presenter here. So please, may I invite Ibukun Akinola?
In fact, I'm so excited. I was telling the MC when you were standing there that I want to meet that lady because I've been hearing so much about you. And now looking at you, that you are the one controlling all those 250 people. Let's put our hands together for this. Man, this is simply awesome. It's just simply awesome. It's a lot, and I'm happy that it's coming from Covenant University. And so I'm so proud to make this presentation. And let me just quickly read what is here, please. From the platform of Covenant University, the first Covenant University Conference on Leadership and Development, popularly called CUCLeD, Excellence Award to Ibukun Akinola in recognition of your leadership. And as alumni of Covenant University, we deeply, deeply, deeply appreciate you. And the Lord God Almighty will continue to bless you, and you continue to soar higher and higher and higher in Jesus' name. We are simply proud of you.
As mentioned earlier, the awards for our virtual presenters will be dispatched. So I think it's safe to end this session now. From here, we'll be proceeding to the various rooms, venues for the sessions.